President Lynn, Executive Committee, Head Table Associates, my fellow Jaycees, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special evening. And Tom has told you all of those stories, and Tom, I really appreciate that. And they've told you that I'm wired for sound, etc. Well, they know I'm 77 years old and I can't do this much longer. So they're going to get it. They're going to get it on record. I'm so pleased to be with you tonight. And there are special reasons. A week ago, two of my very special friends, Tom and Kathleen, got married. And I was not able to be there. So tonight I've come with all of you to say congratulations to the two of you. Tom did not know that he was going to be inducted into the Camp Virginia Jaycee Hall of Fame. But let me tell you something about Tom King. He is a great Jaycee. And when the history of this organization is written, Tom King will stand right at the top. And yes, we, the Virginia Jaycees, have been inducted into the Camp Virginia Jaycee Hall of Fame, and I wouldn't have missed it for anything in the world because we go in together. We are Camp Virginia Jaycee. We are the reason that 90-acre facility is there. We are the reason that 40,000 individuals with special needs across the Commonwealth of Virginia have been served. You do it through special projects. You do it through fundraisers. You do it through work parties. You do it through sending those with special needs to camp. And when you leave camp, when you leave the Jaycees, when we exhaust out, we don't forget Camp Virginia Jaycee, because monies come from the Senate, the Life Members Association, the Corps of Virginia Gentlemen. And I'll never forget, I shall never forget what the Jayceettes did for Camp Virginia Jaycee. Tom has told you that I became the outstanding young educator in the city of Roanoke, and yes, I did. And that evening, someone extended the hand of membership to me. And I'm trying to figure out what this thing we call Jayceeism is all about. 125 projects, and there was one that no one had taken, mental retardation, and I said, I'll take it. And I began to learn as much as I possibly could by way of textbooks, working with the Roanoke Area Association for Retarded Citizens, working with the Virginia Association for Retarded Citizens, and right into the President's Committee on Mental Retardation. And I said to the Roanoke Jaycees, let's adopt 5 indigent, mentally retarded individuals and then learn what we can do about them, what we can do for them. And they said, oh, Bill, listen, let's gather some of them on a day and take them on a picnic. I said, but what happens the remaining 364 days out of the year? And we did. We adopted 5 indigent individuals with special needs, and we found out those things that were lacking in their lives, and recreation was one of them. And we set up a recreation program in the city of Roanoke, working with Hollins College, Roanoke College, etc. And then I had this dream, as Tom was telling you, about starting a camp for those with mental retardation. And the then president of the Virginia Jaycees, Bill Hartz, and I had to go to Denver, Colorado to attend a mental retardation seminar. And I was telling Bill about this, and Bill said, listen now, maybe you might be moving a little too fast. Let's ease this thing into being. And for that year, 1967-68, we came up with a program to immunize children against measles. Measles being one of the common causes of mental retardation at that time. And with 69 chapters involved, we immunized some 200,000 children across the Commonwealth against measles. Now we're ready to go. I go to Virginia Beach in August of 1968, and I said to the Virginia Jaycees, we're going to start a camp for those with mental retardation, and I have the perfect plan in order to finance it. We're going to sell 15-cent jars of apple jelly for $1. And they laughed. They said, that's the craziest thing we've ever heard of. I said, listen, don't worry about it. It's going to work. Because anyone who says he or she is not in favor of buying a 15-cent jar of apple jelly for $1 is actually saying he or she is against God, country, or motherhood. Now, he or she might be against one or all three of them, but he or she is not going to let you know that. He or she will sell that 15-cent jar of apple jelly for $1. Well, the executive committee, we sold it to the membership on the floor. The executive committee said, Bill, you've got to meet with us tonight. And, all right. They said, all right, the troops have bought it, but now the troops here have bought it, but now you've got to sell it to the troops across the Commonwealth. I came back from Virginia Beach to Roanoke, and I purchased for myself whitetails, top hat, red bow tie, red socks, white gloves, etc. And I was off and running, some 40,000 miles across the Commonwealth, promoting this concept of a camp for those with mental retardation. Columbus Day, 1968, Norfolk, Virginia. I'm riding in an open convertible. Those with mental retardation in the car. And the same afternoon, I have to be in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm wearing whitetails, top hat, red bow tie, red socks, white gloves, etc. Between the time that I was in the parade and the time that I had to catch a United flight out of Norfolk going to Baltimore, didn't have time to change clothes. So I'm boarding this flight with approximately 128, 130 people, and everyone wants to know, who is this getting on this plane? So I began to tell them that it's a Virginia Jaycee project to raise $45,000 in order to start a facility for those with mental retardation. The plane lands in Baltimore. I alight from the plane, and as I do, two Huckland, Maryland state troopers come up, and one takes everything that I have in my arms, and one takes me by the arm to weave me in and out as far as the crowd is concerned. Because the Maryland Association for Retarded Citizens knew that I would be late. Maryland state troopers to meet me. Two little old ladies had gotten off the same flight, and one said to her companion, gee, he must really be an important person to be met by the Maryland State Police. And her companion replied, oh no, they're just taking him away. I had to be in Culpeper. It was a Christmas parade. And again, the whole concept is to help the Culpeper Jaycees launch this drive as far as the camp was concerned. My son Alan went with me, and Alan went with me on many of these occasions. He's about 9 or 10 years old, and it's cool that evening. So we're riding on the open convertible. Jaycee president is driving the car. I'm sitting on the back seat, top of the back seat. Alan is sitting in the front seat, and he says, Daddy, I'm cold. I said, well, son, you couldn't be but so cold because your mother put enough clothes on you. I'm cold, Daddy. Jaycee president, Alan, you may have my coat. Alan took the coat, put it over his head, and sank in the seat. When we returned home, I said to the family, Alan became cold. Jaycee president gave him his coat, and he went to sleep. Alan said, oh no, Daddy. Neither one of those things happened. I said, well, son, tell us, what did happen? He said, well, there we were, riding in that open convertible. The crowds had lined the sidewalks. The photographers were snapping their pictures. The TV cameras were grinding. And on both sides of that car, there were signs reading, buy a jar of apple jelly to help a retarded child. And I was the only child in that car. I had to be in Portsmouth. Christmas parade. So it's midnight, and I've got to be there by 10 o'clock in the morning. It's on Saturday morning. So my kids are going with me, Victoria and Alan, and we get to Bedford. And lo and behold, here is this Trailways bus. And my car hits this Trailways bus. Didn't bother the bus at all. Tore my car up. We had to be towed back home. Fortunately, no one was hurt. But now I've promised the Portsmouth Jaycees that I'm going to be there. It's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. There's no train that's going to get me there. There's no bus that's going to get me there. I don't have a car. I can't get there. So I said, I'm going to bed, and I'm going to get up about 5 o'clock, and I'll think about it while I'm sleeping. I'll dream about it, and something will come up. And sure enough, it hit me. It hit me. I got up. Mrs. Mills Godwin, the wife of the governor, was the honorary chairman of the project. So I have this idea. If I can get a state police relay, if I can get to Richmond, I can get to Portsmouth. So I called the governor's mansion because I know it's Thanksgiving, and the day after Thanksgiving, the governor is still at home. Well, I said, this is Bill Robertson calling. I said, well, the governor's still in bed. So I don't get the governor. But I called State Senator Henry Howell in Norfolk. And I said, Senator Howell, I promised the Portsmouth Jaycees that I'm going to be there to launch that portion. There's going to be a parade. And he said, I said, State Senator Howell, I need a state police relay because I can get a 6-something flight out of Roanoke to Richmond. He said, well, listen, let me do this. Let me call the commander of the Virginia State Police. In about 10 minutes, he calls me back. He said, Bill, you catch that plane out of Roanoke, and they're going to meet you at the airport. Sure enough, I caught a Piedmont I caught a Piedmont flight out of Roanoke. Got to Richmond. A Virginia State policeman is there. He hustles me to his patrol car. That patrol car is doing 100 miles an hour, gets to the outskirts of Richmond. There's another state policeman there. He puts me in the car, and he's going 100 miles an hour, and he asks me, are you afraid? I said, no, not when I'm riding with Virginia State Police. He gets me to Waverly, Virginia. Another state policeman is waiting there, picks me up, takes me to the outskirts of Suffolk. And sure enough, another state trooper is there and drives me right into Portsmouth. It's 9:30. The parade hasn't even started. But these are some of the things that I knew I had to do because I had made a promise if we were going to make this thing work. Now, March 2nd, 1969 had been designated Apple Jelly Sunday. Late February, I get on a 40-foot tractor trailer with a driver. We go to Winchester to pick up 100,000 jars of apple jelly. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you don't know what 100,000 jars of apple jelly look like. I can tell you. We had to cajole, push, pull to have people to load the truck. Now, we can't get all the apple jelly on one truck. So I have to send back to Roanoke to get another truck. But we take off with the first truck. I've got to be in Charlottesville by 9 o'clock because the people in that region are going to be there to pick up the apple jelly. Now, we're late. You know, it's really late. We can't take 81 because the truck is overloaded. We're afraid that we can't make the scale, so we've got to take the back roads. It's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm wondering, I'm supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. What am I going to find? We go up a hill as we went to Charlottesville, and we start down a hill at 2 o'clock in the morning in February. What do we see? Pickup trucks, cars, Jaycees, Jaycees. They had waited. So it's apple jelly in Charlottesville. over to Richmond, apple jelly, down to Norfolk, apple jelly, over to Virginia Beach, apple jelly, back to Lynchburg. The second truck meets me, apple jelly in Lynchburg. Second truck takes me over to Danvers, apple jelly, up to Bristol, apple jelly, back to Roanoke, apple jelly. Left home Friday, 12 o'clock. Arrived back in Roanoke Sunday night, midnight. But now, the state of Virginia is saturated with apple jelly. Organized, mobilized, publicized. That's the motto. Sunday, March 2nd, Apple Jelly Sunday. March 1st, Saturday, Virginia has the biggest snowstorm that we've had in 15, 20 years. The state is blanketed with snow. The phone is jumping off the hook. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to sell apple jelly. And what we didn't understand at that time was that the good Lord had looked down upon us and smiled on this project because we had a captive population. People couldn't go anywhere. And they said, if you Jaycees are crazy enough to come out to sell this stuff, we're crazy enough to buy it. We didn't sell $45,000 worth of apple jelly. We sold $68,000 worth of apple jelly in one day. We raised $68,000, and it hasn't stopped yet. The next year, we raised $100,000. And each Jaycee generation, including this generation, because you see what just happened, has contributed to Camp Virginia Jaycee. You are responsible for 40,000 people, 40,000 individuals with special needs, being able to go to a camp where they can run, jump, sing, and play. I've come to say, as we go into the Camp Virginia Jaycee Hall of Fame, thank you so very much for what you have done over the years to see to it that 3% of our population, those with special needs, those with mental retardation, tend to be brought out of the corner. And you have said to them, you're not useless. You can make contributions as well. I've come to say thank you to you because I want you to know who we are. Who are we? We are the Virginia Jaycees. Congratulations.